Well, folks, the Democrat Party is in serious turmoil right now. The party is tearing itself apart right now, and some horrifying polling for the Democrats has just come out. And I'm not talking about the 4-decade low approval rating that the Democrat Party just got from NBC. I'm talking about the recent poll from Atlas Intel that has AOC as the highest favorability among Democrats outside of the Obamas. She clocked in at 42% favorability rating, with Harris trailing her by roughly 2 points. So we're going to break this down for you today, go through what would a Vance AOC 2028 election look like. But before we get into it, drop down below, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you never miss another video from us again in the future. Now, granted, this polling was taken back a couple days before Chuck Schumer caved to the Republicans on the GOP-backed spending bill that most Democrats wanted the party to take a hard stand against Trump on. And so it makes sense. AOC's favorability rating will most likely go up in polls that come after this, as many Democrats are looking to her as the leader of the Democrat resistance to Trump. Like, how sad is that? The best the Democrats have is AOC. And if that's true, the Democrats are going to be permanently screwed for years to come, because the majority of Americans do not agree with AOC or the radical policies that she promotes. They just don't. But like we said, AOC clocking in at 42%. Kamala, 40%, Biden, 32%, Clinton, Newsom. But new polling from NBC just came out just a couple days ago showing that the Democrat Party has dropped. Just a quarter of registered voters say they have a positive view of the party, which is the party's lowest positive rating in NBC News polling dating back to 1990. 1990 we're talking about here. And 7% say those views are very positive. And, there's a Democrat pollster, Jeff Horwitz, who said, with these numbers, the Democrat Party is not in need of a rebrand. It needs a complete reboot, which I could not agree more with. But if you talk with most Democrats, they believe their policies are very popular. They 100% believe that what they're doing, the policies they have, are very popular across the country. It's just the fact that, us lowly, stupid Americans don't fully grasp it. Let's take a look over here. I think you have Chris Matthews. Let's listen to why they think Democrat polling is as low as it is right now.
You make of these numbers for the Democrats?
Well, you could have seen them the night that Trump addressed the Congress. Mm-hmm. And you watched the Democratic Party. They seemed like they weren't there. They were sort of vacant. They weren't saying anything with their manner. They never questioned the facts. They let the president lie about Social Security and say that we're giving benefits to people who are 160 years old or to their grandchildren. We allowed Elon Musk to go on television and tell everybody that we're using Social Security as a lure to bring people into the country illegally, that we're giving them benefits, which we're not. We're giving them to illegal people in the country who came in illegally. We give it to them. Lie after lie after lie, and said nothing. I'll tell you, James Carville, who said the Democrats should stay silent, may be partially right, but where he's wrong is you have to have a fact checker. There needs to be a war room. Remember in 1992? Yeah. Remember how Bill Clinton won that election because he had a war room. He and George Stephanopoulos were down there in Little Rock, and they were checking.
No. Bill Clinton won in 1992 because Ross Perot came and split the Republican Party. Let's not kid ourselves here. Don't act like Bill Clinton was some genius that first time around. He could have won, but let's be honest. It's because of Ross Perot. George W. Bush lost for many reasons, and Ross Perot was one of them, but Bill Clinton won for the sole reason that Ross Perot was in that race. Let's just call a spade here. It doesn't sound like nobody's looking for the annoying fact checkers to lead our country forward. Let's be honest about that. But looking at a 2028 matchup could be very, very crucial. As we know, the 2020 election is going to be very crucial, not only to maintain control of the executive branch after the Trump administration, but a big thing that you have to look forward to is the 2030 census, in which whoever is the president then will be conducting the census that is going to have to. We're going to see the Electoral College change. You're going to see states like California and New York lose Electoral College votes. And then you're going to see states like Florida and Texas are going to pick up four, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York, Rhode Island, all losing. Idaho, Utah, Arizona, all add in electoral votes there. So it's going to be very crucial that you have a president who's going to oversee this properly. And here's the thing. If Biden would have got his way, they tried to bring millions and millions and millions of undocumented illegal immigrants here, give them temporary protected status, and then tell the country that we needed a big, big, beautiful piece of legislation to fix all these issues. Which really, they were just saying that because they know that it was an amnesty bill to fix it. And by fix it, it means give everybody amnesty who's already here illegally, which is the last thing Americans want right now. The reality is that if President Trump or the Republicans, I should say the Republicans, do not win in 2028, that is what the Democrats will do. They will flood the country with illegal migrants. They will try and pass bills to give them asylum and then ultimately tip the Electoral College back towards their direction. Because think about this. Let's go through and fill this out right here. But if you are a Republican going forward, you are going to be very happy with the idea of, and I think it's the Democrats get, think that's how it is. But, the Democrats could be permanently screwed if they do not, if the Electoral College continues to look the way it's going to look in 2030. It's like, that's just the reality. It is not going to look good for the Democrats past the 2028 election. Like, especially if they lose, it is going to suck inevitably for them. So this is the point that I wanted to prove right here. And this, and the Republicans actually win that, but the Democrats win this and this. And so let's look at this map right here. So if you're a Republican, and I had it in here that they were going to win, so they're not winning. As of right now, I just have it that they're not going to win Michigan, or Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. These are toss-up races as of now. If the Republican Party is able to get these margins where Texas adds 4 electoral votes, Florida adds 4 electoral votes, and they lose 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, this is a winning map for the GOP. Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, you're at 268. If Florida has 4 more and Texas has 4 more, that puts you over 270. That puts you, and then you have 3 more here. Even if you lost Nevada, you'd still be up and over. You would still be up and over the hump. You would still be the next president of the United States. So this is why it is so important, the 2028 election. So important. Because Republicans are not going to need to win Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin in order to have an electoral victory past the 2028 election, just due to basically they're taking electoral votes away where people are leaving California and New York and they're going to Texas, Florida, Arizona, Utah, Idaho. And so they are going to be rewarded with more electoral votes and more say in Congress because of that, which is huge. But let's take a look at what this map would look like in 2028, J.D. Vance versus AOC. As we know, J.D. Vance, current vice president, he was a Marine vet, went to Yale Law School, was elected to the Senate initially in 2022 when he beat out Tim Ryan, who was a longtime congressman from Ohio. And then AOC, we know she's a founding member of the Squad, who's a group of extremely left-wing congresswomen who push some of the most asinine policies in Congress. She wants to abolish ICE, push the Green New Deal, and thinks socialism seems to be the answer for everything. And we need to talk about this here. If there's going to be an election between AOC and J.D. Vance, this is most likely where you're going to see this is most likely where the toss-up races are going to be. I think Texas and Florida are going to become a lot more conservative if AOC is on the top of a ticket. I think places like California will become much more liberal, along with New York. I think they would double down. But I think places like New Hampshire could be in play here. New Hampshire. Do I think any other states could be that are Democrat states that could now be in play? If it's a good year for Republicans, I could see Virginia going into play. If it's a good year for Republicans, Virginia's in play. But ultimately, this is what you're looking at here. AOC needs to be able to win in Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. I was going to say not these because ultimately, after 2030, if it goes the right way, the Republicans don't need to win those. But you're looking at Nevada over here. I have a really hard time seeing a big city New York socialist from coming in and winning the state of Nevada. The Democrat Party that is strong in Nevada, in Arizona, is not the party of AOC. It's just not. They don't support AOC. She has historically low approval ratings in places like this. Do you see AOC attracting a lot of people from the Midwest to come out and vote for her? Because it's like, let's talk about some of these policy differences that they have. Vance wants to lower taxes. He wants to deregulate. And he's all about economic nationalism. He wants to bring manufacturing back from China, and we want to make sure we have fair trade. You just look at the numbers from the Trump tax cuts in 2017. It boosted GDP growth by roughly 2.5% in 2018. And that is a fact. J.D. Vance has doubled down on that. And AOC, she wants the $93 trillion Green New Scam fantasy, higher taxes on the rich, federal jobs for everyone. And that's not economics. That is a fantasy wish list. And let's be honest, under Biden, inflation spiked to 8.5% in 2022. And AOC's plan would make that worse. Like, who is actually serious here about running AOC? And that's just on economic policies. And, if you want to look at healthcare, she wants to basically make it a single payer system where there's going to be more people who die in line. The world benefits because the United States is so innovative. The world benefits because we have a quasi-privatized public health sector. But 50% of the research and development that's done in the world is done in the United States. That's just the reality. Other countries get to benefit from the fact that we do all the research and development. And guess what? I don't want to wait 5 or 6 months to get an MRI. I want to be able to go in and get an MRI, and if they don't have time at the place I'm looking at, where else is they network with my health company? I'm not waiting for the government to tell me what I can and can't do. Why do you think that you have dictators and world leaders from around the world who get sick, who then come to the United States, specifically to Minnesota, to the Mayo Clinic? Where did Ronald Reagan go? He was a world leader. He went to the Mayo Clinic when he needed stuff done. You go to the Mayo Clinic because they are the peak. They are the peak when it comes to cancer research, fighting against these chronic diseases. And then let's talk about foreign policy. Vance wants a strong military, smart alliances, and no endless wars. He voted to keep defense spending robust, but hates nation building. He thinks that Iraq, $2 trillion down the drain, and AOC wants to slash the military budget, redirect that money towards welfare. She is very anti-intervention, sure, but in a world with China flexing and Russia really meddling around the entire world, weakness is not an option. And AOC lives in this fantasy, in this utopia. You want to talk about immigration. Vance wants to secure the border. He wants strong law enforcement present at our border. We all know that under Biden, illegal crossings hit a record of 2.5 million in 2022. And here's the thing. Vance is for legal immigration, not open borders. AOC wants citizenship for the 11 million undocumented folks that came here during Biden. No questions asked. She cried at the border fences on camera. It's great theatrics, great. But terrible policy. Border security works, and people like it. Border security works. But here's the thing. The reality is do you see AOC going into places, into the working class areas in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in winning? No, I don't see it happening. I think, if anything, the only state in the Rust Belt that I see AOC potentially even get close on would be Wisconsin. Besides that, I would consider Michigan lean and Pennsylvania lean as well. New Hampshire, I have a hard time seeing New Hampshire voting for AOC. As hard as that is, I really do, especially if there's a strong candidate at the top of the ticket for the Republican Party like J.D. Vance. I have a hard time seeing, but we all know those kind of Northeast New England country club Republicans are a little different, a little more moderate. But I just don't see. Do you see blue collar workers in Michigan, in the Midwest? It's like Vance is from the Midwest. Swing states love his vibe. Vance inherits that. The rural voter, the blue collar worker, he's got the Midwest credit. And Ohio's right next door. And AOC's base is cities, college towns, and progressive. She'll crush it in New York and California, sure. But swing states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, good luck. Her socialism policies that she promotes and espouses pulls around 40%, which means 60% of them hate it. And Vance, he just has to play to the middle. AOC is going to alienate a lot of people in the Democrat Party. But here's the twist. 2028 post-Trump, Republicans have the momentum. Right now they have a 53-47 majority in the Senate and 25. But granted, it's not a midterm, but things look good for the upcoming midterm from the Republicans in the Senate and in 2028. But it's open season. I think Vance can ride on Trump's coattails without all the baggage. AOC might have some energy and may be able to fundraise money, but her policies tanked. Her policies will tank. The policies that she supports, the worst of them, tanked with Biden. Because swing voters do not buy what she's selling. So, in a 2028 matchup, who wins? J.D. Vance 100% has the edge. Facts completely back it up. He is pro-freedom, pro-jobs, pro-America. AOC wants this socialist experiment, big promises, big disasters. Look at history. Reagan crushed Mondale in 84 with optimism and strength. Vance channels that. AOC, is going to be Carter 2.0, Biden 2.0. Nice ideas. They sound nice on paper, but they're horrible in reality. And for conservatives, this is the fight. Vance will defend the Constitution, open markets, our borders, and AOC wants to rewrite all of it. If we want a future where hard work and merit pays off, then you will keep AOC as far away from the executive office as possible. As far as possible. But if it's AOC and Vance in 2028, this is how I see it going. Because ultimately, I don't see North Carolina or Georgia voting for them. I see the South states getting a lot more Republican. I see Texas getting a lot more Republican. I even see places like Minnesota. This is going to be a tight one. Even with the crazy radical population they have in Minnesota, I think it could be closer. Virginia, I think this could be a closer, more of a lean state. Maybe Trump can get within a couple points in Virginia. But ultimately, Vance wins this race here. There is no doubt in my mind. Vance, AOC. So this is the thing. For all the Democrats out there who are trying to lean into AOC, she's the future of the party now. Go ahead. Please. Make AOC your savior. Make her your leader to the resistance right now, because it will only pay off for the Republicans in the long term. So I appreciate you tuning in today. Thank you so much. Drop down below. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button. We'll catch you next time.